Hello, everyone. We are going to do the Chapter 6 demo using the Excel Power Query. I will show you what to do from the data that we have. So make sure that you download each of the files. That's what I'm doing. Each of these are going to be downloaded to your downloads. Hopefully you can get that there. I believe they're all going to be there. The next thing you need to do is open up Excel for Windows. So when you open it up, you will need to just do a blank workbook. One of the things that you need to do first is to make sure that you have the right add-in. So if you go into your options, so hit the I think it's under File, go down to Options. These will open up your Excel options. This is a particular add-in that we need to be able to make the relationships work. So click on Add-ins on the left-hand side. You can see it there. It's not any of these regular Excel add-ins. Some of them would be there. It's under a COM add-in. So click on that down at Manage, click Go. And in that, you should have the Power Pivot for Excel. So I had already had it clicked because I've done it before here, but make sure that that is clicked as on. When you hit OK, you should see the ribbon for Power Pivot should appear. And there are some of these things that you can do without it, but you will need them here in the ribbon. Now that we have that added, go to data. And what we're going to do is we want to get and transform data. So up here on the top left-hand side is what you'll need to do. We're going to get data from Excel. We know that the first one is going to be the customers file. So we're going to get it from a text file. That's the way it came. You can do it however. You just need to know which data files you're going to import. Go to your downloads and you should be able to see the customer one. So I'm going to bring the customer file in and we want to transform it. Don't click load, click transform because we can actually tell that this text file, the first line is the name of the columns and it's not reflected here. And so one of the things we need to do in cleaning this data that we're going to extract, transform, and load, so we're doing the transforming, is we want to click on here, use the first row as header under transform. We're going to click on that and that will automatically take that first row and put it in here. If you notice over here on the right-hand side, you'll see the properties. For the customers, there's the name and the applied steps. This is really nice in the Power Query Editor is that you can go through and you can undo steps. You can go all the way back to the source data and you can undo steps by clicking delete in them. And it gives you a nice audit trail when you're trying to figure out your data. So this one is done for now. We will come back to it. There's a reason, but go ahead and click close and load. And what this does is it now loads this into, they call it a query, but it's a table now for database purposes. That's what we're doing. So we have our first one loaded, customers. We now go back to data and we are going to get the other two from an Excel workbook is what they look like. So we have our orders. We'll import those. And again, we want to, this one is going to ask which tab it's on because it's looking at an Excel spreadsheet. So there's the order tab. Want to click again, transform. And it's going to try to figure some things out. Now, this one, as you noticed, as you go through, there's order IDs. Occasionally, you'll see that there's an order ID multiple times. Let's not worry about that now because actually that's the same order, but for different products. You'll see product IDs will be here as well. And you can kind of look at the data, get to know it. Make sure you look at it and question what's going on. Does everything look about right? Whenever you're bringing data into your file. And it looks pretty good here, so we'll leave it alone. And we will just close and load it. So now our orders are in as well. And then let's bring in our last table for this example, which will be the products table. Go ahead and click import. Same process that we had before. We're going to transform this. One of the things I want you to notice here is that we have the same product number ID listed multiple times with the same unit sale price. So these look actually quite redundant. And so what you can do when you're in the Power Query Editor is you can remove rows. So click on the thing that says remove rows and reduce rows. Remove duplicate rows. And this one removes a bunch of duplicates. So now you can see that first line, there's not three of the office refrigerators. There's now just one of them because it went through and reduced them based on what you had clicked. And product ID should be a primary key in this case. For the orders, that's a funny one because if you that other table because it doesn't really have a primary key listed there. You don't have to worry about that too much now, but that's why we didn't remove duplicates there. So go ahead and click close and load. We now have our three tables loaded in, and from the UML diagrams, and we know we have a number of items that can be connected. Thinking about it from a resource, events, and agents, we have our agents as our customers. We have our we have our order as our events and our products as our resources. So we are going to make some connections here. And what you need to do when you're trying to make connections is you'll go to the data, and I want to make sure I can find it. Sorry. We're looking for relationships. So that's what we're going to try to do. When you click into them, under data model, you can click and if you click under data model, you can manage it, but we don't need to do that yet because we don't have a data model. We need to establish relationships. So this is what you're looking for is relationships. I'm trying to see where else we can find that. Power Pivot, I think that's the only place is in the data that I know of is under data model relationships. So when you pull that up, you see this manage relationships. Unlike in Microsoft Access, you don't have this nice map that you can do. You have to create each of these on their own. So click New. They're asking for the first table that has the foreign key. So orders is always going to have that foreign key in this case because that's what we're trying to link everything to. And we are going to link it to the products. That's the first one we're going to do. Product ID is the primary key of that table. And we can see product ID is also in the orders table, and that would be the foreign key. So this is important. Take a look at it and then click OK. And it should establish those relationships right there. And so you can see we have a relationship established there. Now let's add one more because we need our customers added. So we have our orders again. This time we want to connect it to customer ID. And then we can go to our customers, and there should be a customer ID as well. When you click OK, you get an error message. So this error message says both selected columns contain duplicate values. At least one of the columns must contain only unique values to create a relationship. And I told you this a little bit earlier when we were bringing the customers in, that there might be, we'll come back to that. So let's go and investigate something. So we're going to go back to our customers query. So over here on the right-hand side, you need to click into that. If you just go down to the customers table and do this, it's not going to be the same thing because we need to actually edit it. So you go in and we're going to pull back up that Power Query editor, not just find the duplicates and delete them. I've done that before. It doesn't work. You actually have to go back all the way in and try to figure it out. Now, just so you know, there are a couple of duplicates that are embedded in here for instructional purposes. So back on the customer ID, if you go to remove rows, remove duplicates, if you know that this is supposed to be a primary key, this is a good tool to do regularly when you're importing data. If you know it's supposed to be a primary key. Now, if you don't know, then you might be deleting data out of your data set that you shouldn't. So if I already clicked it, it removed the duplicates we can see over here on the right. We click close and load, and it went from 813 down to 811. There were two that were duplicated. I can confirm that. So now let's go back to our data, to our relationships, because we still need to add that customer to orders relationship. So we're back in creating relationships. We're going to do order with the customer ID. I'm going to take customers with that customer ID. So it's linking on customer ID, and then click OK. And now it should be able to create that relationship. So we now have our three different tables or classes from the UML, and we've created the two relationships, and then we can close that. One of the things I really like here in Power Editor that you get more naturally in Access, and that is being able to see the data model. So go into data model, manage data model. You can either do it right here in the data, or you can go into Power Pivot and you can manage the data model. And right here, when we're seeing it, it's showing you something. I just maximized it. It's showing you, oh, look, here's a preview of stuff. This isn't super helpful, but up here on the right-hand side, when you say view, you can actually click on the diagram view. And clicking on the diagram view is really helpful because you can now see each of these in order. Now, I would flip some of these around so that it fits the REA diagram where you have your resources on the left. That's our product. So that's each type here. We have our events, our rows here, our orders, I mean, and then our agents, our customers. Unlike Access, when it's showing this one-to-many relationship, you can see here, it's not showing where it links to the foreign key. So here's your product ID is way down here, but it doesn't shift this link. But you can see that it is linked, and this is really nice to see visually. You can map that to your UML. All right, go ahead and close that. That's fine. You don't need to have that open. So now what do we do with them? We know they're linked, they're cleaned up, they're ready to go. And now we want to be able to query things. So this is where we can create queries. Now with the queries, you go over to the query. There should be a query tab up at the top. And you can go in, edit the queries that are there. And I wanted to show you the merge and append is where it'll take two tables to create what you need for a query. So go ahead and click append. One of the questions might be, I think, no, yeah, that should be right. This looks a little different. Hang on, let me find it. Am I in the right place? I'm sorry. Let's go back to the data. There's something funny that looks different than my other one. So give me a second. I thought, is it merge? Oh, it's going to be merge. I'm so sorry. Append is different. That's when you're trying to add data to another one. Merge is taking two tables. I don't know what I was thinking there. I was bringing up a different thing. So with merging, we are going to try to merge. We want to see customers. We want to merge them with our orders. And so these are the two tables we want to merge. And the kinds of joins, there's a lot of them over here. And I would recommend, like I said in class, that you can kind of experiment with them. Usually the left outer is a good one where you can take everything from the first and then the matching stuff from the second. But I'll show you how Power Query can be really helpful. These other ones are nice to play around with. The left ante shows only rows only in the first. So the left ante, if we wanted to do that, and we picked our customer ID and your customer ID because you have to say what to match it on. It says the selection will exclude 793 out of 811 rows. What this table will give us, and so we're going to go ahead and merge these, and this creates a table. These are customers that have no orders whatsoever, and that might be a red flag and something to investigate. They just won't match. And so even if we try to expand the order, there's just nothing to expand because there's none related to these. So that's what this one is, and we can name this particular one customers without order or something like that. And so we can close and load that. And so we now at least have a list of all of those customers without any orders. Okay, so let's go back up to our query. We'll do another merge. We want to merge because that one is nice. That's a question we could ask of the model, of the data. But now let's take a look. Let's try to figure out our sales. This is an important one. So we definitely want all the orders. We want to look at the products as well, because if you notice in the order table, it gives a nice little preview up here. It only says how many of each item we've ordered that were ordered. We actually don't know what the sales price is, but in the products table, we can see what the unit sales price is for each of those. And so let's go and merge these. We're going to merge them based on the product ID. That's going to be the connecting. And let's do the left outer. So let's take all from the first. So we see all of the order information and only the matching from the second. And let's bring them together. Now with Power Query, it's really helpful because wait, we did that. But this is just still the order. The thing is, it's already matched everything with the product as well. And we can, by tapping on this little button here with the two arrows, looks like an expand. That's what we're going to do. We're going to expand all. Well, let's just do, we don't want all columns. We don't need product ID twice, but maybe we want to know the product name and the unit sale price. And so we'll click OK, and then it expands the table that we just created. We created a new merge table. We'll do this one as products, or let's call it sales. We'll rename it. And now we can see the quantity and the unit price. So that's helpful. What we can also do in this table while we're editing it is if you go to the very top, it's harder to see. You have home, transform, add column. This allows us to add columns to this new table. So if you click on add column, um, hang on. Well, hang on. My computer's taking a little bit of time. We're going to go to add column. You can do a custom column. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to calculate a custom column, and we want to call this one prod sales. So it allows you to do a formula. This is where you can go in and calculate it. So we're going to say the quantity times the unit sale. This will then add a column that does that math for you. You can even change its format up here. I think format, we can change this to, I can't remember exactly, but where was it? Yeah, it'll be in here. We go into change the type. Maybe we want that to look like a currency type. And so it'll look a little bit more like the sales. So now we've created a new column in our table that we call sales. And let's go ahead and back to home, up at the top, click close and load. And now we have this query that has a lot of data that we can start asking questions of. We can start asking questions looking at the columns. We know our sales, so we can add what the top products are. Where are these products most being sold? There's so many different things we can do with this table. Now, the easiest way to do it is to take a pivot table. So we're going to insert a pivot table. So once you're highlighted in that one, we're going to insert a pivot table. We're going to have it be the sales. We want to, hang on, there is something here. Hang on, hit cancel on that. Let's go back to the pivot table from the data model. That's really what we want to do, from the data model. And the reason why we want it to be pulling from the data model is because then if we make any changes, it should update. So you want to click it from the data model, and now it pulls everything over into the pivot fields that we can use. We're going to go to the sales one because we want to look at our product sales. So we tap on that and it knows where to put it. We can see our 2.8 million or whatever in sales, but maybe we want to see it by state. So if we tap that, now we can see our sales by state, and you can reformat this if you need to, and you can even sort this. So if you go into the pivot table, you can right click. You should be able to, maybe you have to be in the table itself. Right click, you should be able to sort largest to smallest. And so we can see maybe the 5 largest or 10 largest states. There's some things that you can do in there. And we're not going to, this is not a pivot table exercise, but you can see you can start asking questions of the data now that we've been able to merge it and create this data model. So hopefully that's helpful. You can stop and rewind this. I will post it so that you can see this, and it should be useful. All right. Thanks, everyone.